Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in for the first stream here in WOR in 2026. We are here for some Tier 4 racing. It's round 8, and we are racing here tonight in the Netherlands. I am joined alongside me by Weltorium. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great this evening. Excited to see how this championship fight does go down here in Tier 4, as it is a three-way fight at the front. But obviously it's my first time commentating here, so it's going to be interesting to see how they shape up, especially going into qualifying.
Yeah, as you say, we are just heading towards qualifying. We will have a quick look. It is Lennart who still currently leads up at the front, 8 points ahead of Tom97. Bringing home sort of a lifeline last time out, 18 points gained on both Lennart and Nico with their no points scored. Nico is 19 points back, still definitely in contention though, with 3 races left to go. Everybody else quite a long way behind, 62 points back for Crisis Pilakouris. Gabriel Pinto is 63 points back, Myth 70 points back, Victor Garcia 71 points back, Jeremy Galonier, who only did 1 or 2 races at the start of the season, still running up in P8. And I'm just looking at qualifying. It looks like it's going to be a relatively dry session, slightly overcast, but this is how the constructors are looking as well. As it stands, McLaren up at the front, only a 14-point margin, 18 points to Ferrari, still looking pretty close there as well.
Yeah, although the lobby today is going to be a bit of a quiet one, and if Myth can sort out his pedal troubles, McLaren will definitely have 2 drivers that can potentially give themselves a big benefit over the Red Bull and Ferraris based off of recent performances from the two. But today it's going to be heavily focused on that qualifying as we do head towards Zandvoort.
Yeah, and this is the track for tonight's racing. A very interesting one, lots and lots of banked corners, 2 DRS zones for the drivers to benefit from, 14 corners around this track. It is quite a short track though, one of the shortest I think in fact on the calendar. Going to be an interesting one for the drivers to navigate, and a track where you need quite high downforce as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of higher downforce settings, but typically on this game it makes it a lot more difficult to overtake. And so it's going to be down to the drivers like Lennart who benefit more in qualifying, which is going to be so crucial for their championships odds if they can stick it on pole.
Yeah, well, let's jump over to the track now. We have got some cars making their way around, the first of which going to be Star and making his way through the final sector, getting qualifying underway. Everybody, of course, going to be out there on the soft compound tyres. And let's see what sort of times we're going to see. I'm expecting we're probably looking at under 1 minute 8, maybe. I'm not actually sure. I haven't really been paying attention too much to the times that we'd be expecting. Probably, though, we're aiming for 1 minute 7s, right?
Yeah, times can definitely dip down into the 1 minute 7s, especially in the clear skies here at Zandvoort. One of the quickest laps on the calendar, as you said, also one of the shortest laps. But with these banked corners, it is always a sight to see as Star is taking us through this first lap.
Yeah, so first sector coming to an end, 23.6 going to be purple for the time being, but of course that's because he's the first one making his way through. Such an impressive set of corners, 3 right-handers back to back to back, 2 of which you take completely flat out. Just carry the speed and hope that the car sticks. And now DRS opens up once again down towards the stadium section. Quite a tricky set of corners to navigate, trying to carry as much minimum speed as you can, not wanting to lose too much time through there, getting back onto the power, make sure the rear end doesn't step out. We saw it a little bit of sliding there, and also the Aston Martin of Vettel behind also having a very, very small slide as he gets onto the power, but it's flat out through the banking, DRS wide open, cut it very tight, and I've just seen a spot of rain, I think. I'm not sure if I was just seeing things, but we might be seeing some rain coming. I'm not too sure, but time's coming in. Nico Rassenberg now fastest. Lennart Deckers to the top with a 7.987. If there is rain coming, which I think I've seen 1 or 2 drops, but I might be seeing things.
The skies are definitely dark, and then I have seen a couple drops myself. And especially when we go onto that onboard, we see a few drops coming on through. That means it's crucial for these drivers who are on their laps to get a lap time in. But drivers like Pick, Myth, and Powell are going to have a huge disadvantage as they are still sat in the pits.
Yeah, it's surprising to see people sat in the pit, and invalidation for Sinan as well, costing him his lap. Justin Ertz, P8 only with a 109.1. We're seeing quite a few poor lap times here, and the track is only going to be losing grip as we make our way through. AMS Josh sets an 8.5 to go 7th fastest. As it stands though, looks like that is pretty much going to be our order. We've still got 4 drivers without a time on the board, so they can still fight out for those final few positions, but I doubt we're going to be seeing too much improvement here.
Yeah, unlikely to see some improvement, as we do see the drivers now coming back into the pit lane. Lennart Dekkers is your pole current holder in that Red Bull, as he was the bestest of those early laps, but you still got one more Red Bull on the track to try and set a lap into the stadium section, tries to not hit that curb too tightly, and the Mercedes gets out of his way. He will have a bit of a lack of grip coming through these last few corners, as these raindrops will make it a lot more slippy to take these banked corners. As the DRS opens midway through, he charges to the line, last across it, and it's going to be a tough one with a 109.3.
Yeah, really unfortunate stuff there for Pierre Karzik. In the end, the conditions getting the better of him. Sinan also heading out onto the track. I think effectively the goal is going to be to try and maybe get P8 here if you can beat that 9.8, so 8.9 set by Kevin West in P8. I mean, if we're looking for those 9s, then it's going to be a tough one here, and effectively just looking to try and beat Myth and Powell. But yeah, unfortunate stuff here if you didn't get it quite right on your first lap. Lennart Dekkers, championship leader with the fastest time. Nico Rassenberg in second. He's currently third in the championship, looking to fight back. Star jumping up to P3 as well. A very strong showing from the Alpine driver. Always done very well in qualifying. The races seems to fade away a little bit. Tom 97 after a strong showing last time out in P4. Vettel in P5, I think one of his best qualifyings of the season. Ken Fisher P6, AMS Josh P7. We might still see some changes for those final few positions. We'll have to wait and see what the likes of Sinan can do as we make our way through this session.
Yeah, as you can see, the raindrops starting to pick up even further, so it's down now just to Sinan on track by himself at the moment, as other people retire, as they doubt that they can find a lap time improvement. Going to be on the ball with that 108.9, as you said previously, but as we go through into the second sector, already time lost to those fastest laps in that first sector just alone, and it only gets even more technical in this second sector than the first. As he rounds onto that first DRS zone, it's very short, so it won't be a lot of time to offset the difference the rain will bring, and he slides heavily into the stadium section. A lot of traction being lost on the exit as well, but he's trying to eke out the time, going through the corners, pushing into them as much as he can, but he rounds that final corner. It's only going to be a short suit to the line to see if he can find something. There's enough of 3/10 adrift off of anything else other than P11.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate stuff there for Sinan. Unfortunately, not going to be up there with his teammate tonight. Lots more of the drivers now starting to retire from the session. We have actually got Lennart and Star both out on the track at the moment. I'm not sure if they're both on laps at the moment, but we'll see what they were able to do. We'll be able to see their times at least. And maybe we'll see if they are putting some improvements in, but that is a long way off for Star, 4 seconds down. Lennart a little bit less so, but still off the pace that even Sinan was setting. And yeah, actually it's the exact same situation here. For Lennart, I think the track just far too wet now, and one of the McLaren's heading out. Is that Myth? It is. Maybe going to try and snatch away that P11.
Yeah, interesting to see though, the raindrops have actually started to reduce on the screen just a little bit. Obviously, the track temperature is going to be simulated as still rather a bit colder, but it is eased up just slightly in that first sector. But as we travel into the second while we rolled on board, it definitely is still picking up around that far side of the circuit, as it is just Myth and Tom 97 left in the session to see if Myth can find any kind of improvements.
Yeah, I mean, if it is going to be an improvement, it's going to be improvement of maybe a position or two at most. We're seeing run after run, the times are just dropping by a couple of tenths, and there you can see losing the rear. Coming out of turn 10 there for the McLaren driver, it's not looking like we're going to be seeing any improvements at all, I think, for the McLaren driver, and maybe even might abandon this lap. We'll have to wait and see how things go, but might just be going out there to have a little bit of fun as well. We've got 9 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. That might be cut short if all of the drivers do retire, though. But as it stands, 2 drivers left remaining in the session. Might be waiting maybe for some heavier wet conditions if we're going to see some rain in the race, or might just be trying to feel some conditions out, make sure that everything's working. I mean, Myth hadn't been out onto the track yet. That could have been just to check that his wheel was working properly.
Yeah, he did post that his pedals were having a bit of an issue. So probably just him checking to see if his pedals were working effectively. And it seems like something that has cost him dearly. He needed to make sure that his pedals were working correctly, but he wasn't able to get out there on track straight away due to those technical difficulties.
Yep, and now we wait and see how things are gonna play out. Tom97 retires, and just Myth left in the session. If he does have some pedal issues, he might be looking to rectify those, head back out and test it again. We can have a quick look at the calendar, though, for this season. We have just retired from the session as well, so we'll jump back over in a second. We've got Zandvoort tonight, we've got Belgium next week, and Sao Paulo rounding the season out in 2 weeks' time. But here are your results for qualifying then. Lennart Deckers on pole position, almost 2 tenths clear of Nico Rassenberg in second. Staff in P3. Tom97, then Vettel, Ken Fisher, AMS Josh, Kevin West, Justin Ertz, Pia Karzik, Sinan, Myth, and Pau starting in P13.
Definitely an interesting grid order compared to the drivers' standings. All 3 of the top drivers up in those top 4 positions in the front 2 rows, which is going to be critical as that short run into that first corner is going to mean everything, especially if it's wet. But it does seem like it is going to be a dry session, unlike it is in qualifying, which will give us a little bit of a chance to potentially see some fights into that first corner.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for the drivers here. That start-finish straight extremely long. It's an extremely long DRS zone, starting even before the final corner. It's definitely a good overtaking opportunity, but you've got to stick close to the dirty air. And if you do get stuck in the train, things become that little bit harder because you're not going to get that DRS advantage compared to the cars around you. So you've really got to pick your opportunities, make sure you use your battery right, but as well save your tyres and save them for the best opportunities. Try and build an advantage, and maybe go for an alternative strategy to give yourself a slight aid in the overtaking as well. We have seen quite a few times this season that alternative strategy can pay off and it can deliver good results.
Yeah, Zandvoort, definitely a track where potentially having clear air if you're stuck in traffic can give you a good amount of advantage. Only issue is, if you do catch them back up, this is going to be one of the worst circuits on the calendar to cut through the field. So you've got to make it work at an opportune time where you don't run into any kind of traffic, which is going to rely on a very close field spread at the front of the grid and not a lot of distribution to make any kind of extra pit stops work. But now, if depending on that situation, if someone pulls off a 1 stop and other people are forced onto the 2, that could be a huge track advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see play out, whether the hard, medium, medium hard, or maybe, as you said, someone trying a 2-stop potentially could come into play. I expect you're going to be seeing a lot of drivers starting on those medium compound tyres, though I believe the tyres did get a step harder a couple months ago, which will help with the tyre management. This track notorious for being very, very poor with the front left tyre and also the rear left tyre as well. Those tyres do tend to wear out a lot, so that's going to be something for the drivers to focus on as they get themselves ready for this session, making the final tweaks to their setups, get their strategies locked in, set their fuel loads, and very, very soon we'll be heading down to the grid to get things going.
Yeah, it's going to be about reducing that slip onto those front tyres as much as possible to reduce that tyre wear. With so many long angle corners, any kind of slip will give you early temperature that will just eke you across the rest of the stint.
Yeah, and championship leader on pole position, Nico Rassenberg second. He's quite a way back, I think 18 points behind. He has not got much to lose with 3 races left to go. He needs to make that advantage back up. If he wins all 3 races to the end of the season, that would see him as the season champion. but he's got Tom 97 only 8 points behind Leonard. Leonard's leading the way as well. Gonna be looking to try and fight back here tonight. We've got 5 lights on ahead of the drivers. And we are racing here in Zandvoort. Decent pull away from Leonard. Looks like he gets off the grid very nicely. In fact, Tom 97 already up to third, looking to the inside of Star as they make their way through the first corner now. Tom 97 looking to gain positions, get himself into that championship fight, and he does so very quickly. Already up into third place. We've got moves further back as Powell looking to make positions in the background. Myth has dropped to the back, might still be facing those same pedal issues, unfortunately, but running our way through the first sector, down towards turn 7. Not too many moves happening just yet.
As it's side by side, and the contact is made. The Mercedes of Powell off into the gravel. No qualifying laps, and now set back behind. Back with Miffy, who might still be having issues with his pedals, as you mentioned. But that Ferrari definitely getting a little bit hairy alongside him. Potentially hoping no poachers come along, but as we look down the grid, you got Josh trying to make something kind of work here onto Ken Fisher, but drifts a little bit back on that acceleration zone as we round through the stadium section.
Well, lap 1 done and dusted. Leonard Deckers holds the lead at the front of the field. DRS will be enabled, but not going to be in use just yet. Got to pass through those detection zones first. And now down towards the first corner we go once again. Ken Fisher getting close. Might be thinking about a move potentially here on the Aston Martin of Vettel. Vettel having to defend to the inside. Goes a little bit wide, but not deep enough for Ken Fisher to try and make anything of it. We've got Myth into the pits. Might be, and it is, to retire the car. Unfortunately, seems like he was still facing those same pedal issues. Leonard Deckers, though, half a second clear of Nico Rassenberg at the front. This middle sector going to be really tricky with the dirty air. Tom 97 dropping back a little bit. Might be just to help maintain those tyres a little bit.
Yeah, in this early phase of the race, you want to get racy where you still have the grips in the tyre to allow you to actually get offensive through these hard corners. But sticking in that dirty air will just burn up that rubber that you have and make it harder to make these 36 laps stick here at Zandvoort.
So down towards turn 11 we go once again. Nobody really getting close enough for a move just yet, but we have had the first use of the DRS, and we're going to have a very long DRS rate to come as well. Rassenberg currently 6.5 tenths behind, so might not be able to use it to its full effect. But it will allow him to close in on our race leader. Tom 97 going to have to use a bit of battery, I think, here as well. He's currently 8 tenths off the back of Rassenberg. Does not want to lose the DRS train to the cars in front. That will put him in a very vulnerable position and really going to put his race into question as we make our way through turn 3 now. Relatively clean start. We have one small incident down at the back of the field, but everybody has made it through with their front wings intact.
Yeah, Nico Rassenberg getting racy this lap. You can see that advantage that the DRS does pull, especially with how long it is. But in this game, that slipstream does still not compound as effectively in last year's game. And you can see just that top end speed can even out even with that DRS advantage. So you have to find yourself within that 4.5 tenths gap. But that stadium section definitely tends to grow out that gap with how tight and twisty it gets.
So DRS once again going to help Rassenberg to close in 3 tenths of a second off the back of the Red Bull this time round. He's quite a lot closer than last lap, and that's going to allow him maybe a chance in towards turn 1. 4 tenths now as we head in towards the final 2 corners. DRS going to open up in just a second, and this could be a chance for a change of lead, although he gets up on that curb on the outside of the corner, and that has compromised his exit and the run towards turn 1. We've also got moves there, Ken Fisher and Vettel running wheel to wheel. Are we going to see some moves further behind in towards the first corner? Vettel still trying to defend, going deep once again, but no way around for Ken Fisher. Still has to sit behind, but he is definitely thinking about a move to get himself up into the top 5.
Yeah, piling on that pressure, and you can see Vettel slipping all over, and on the acceleration might have a little bit of a run, but with that wider line still able to get back under traction is Vettel to keep himself safe for now, but he's putting a lot of tyre pressure through as he is taking these more awkward lines to try and keep in defense of Ken Fisher.
Yep, still holding on to that position though. That is the crucial thing for Vettel, and still sticking very close to the back of the Alpine of Star as well. We'll have a quick look at the tyres now. Sinan starting on the hard. He was a long way behind because of those issues in qualifying, the invalidation, and then not being able to get a time in because of the rain. Puts himself a long way behind, going for that alternative strategy. Everybody else with the medium compound tyres. Seems like a relatively straightforward decision. Don't really want to stray too far away on a track where it is so tricky to make the overtakes work.
Yeah, definitely an alternate strategy that might come into his favor if he can stick onto the back of the track. Plenty of DRS zones to try and make it work here at Zandvoort, but not necessarily the easiest strategy to make, but he will have that tire advantage in the dying stages of the race.
Yeah, well, Rasenberg continually getting close to the back of Lennart as they make their way through this first sector, but he can't quite get close enough into turn one to make the move stick, and then runs out of opportunities as you make your way through the very flowing middle sector here. Only a tenth of a second off the back of Lennart as he follows through turn 7, but that's not really a braking zone where you can make a lunge to the inside if you want to try and do it. You've pretty much got to get alongside as Sinan does and gets himself through up into the top 10.
Yeah, as you see, Tom 97 actually catching up to the back of Nico Rasenberg as he's trying to pile on the pressure to Lennart. He's actually starting to get held up a little bit, and Tom has caught back up that gap, but did drift out to the high end of the 1 second margin. But now he's on the back end of Nico Rasenberg instead, and so it's going to just make it that much harder to try and go for any kind of desperate lunges as you now have that threat from behind.
Yeah, well, let's see. Is Rasenberg close enough this time? It did look like he was a little bit closer and is gaining on the Red Bull at the front of the field, but just sits behind. There was a move, I think, further behind. One of the houses battling with 3 wide into the first corner. And going for the dive, and there's contact. And that is going to send the Ferrari spinning around. Josh and Justin battling away. Sinan tried to get involved, and that, unfortunately, puts him back behind the Mercedes of Kevin West.
Yes, and I'm trying to make some moves as the tyres potentially are starting to switch on for him on those higher compound tyres, but gets squeezed into the between both of the Haas teammates who are trying to battle it out with each other at the same time.
Still Ken Fisher getting close to the back of Vettel, another driver who's able to follow very closely, but just not able to find the move. When it really comes down to it, he's got close a couple of times, might be his lap very soon. As the tyres do start to wear, of course, you're going to see slight differences in the pace with the drivers who might have pushed their tyres a little bit more, those who have saved them as well. That might be the plan here for Vettel. Try and save his tyres a little bit more, hold on to the position ahead of Ken Fisher, and then use his tyres later on to follow the leaders and try and break away. But this gap looking extremely close, less than a tenth now as we run down towards turn 1. This is going to be tricky for Vettel. Coming right over to the inside and into the pit lane comes one of the Haas cars as well, but Vettel still holds that position ahead of Ken Fisher just about. Things getting very, very close.
Huge D-rating at the end of the straight from Ken Fisher, potentially running out of any more ERS to try and make that move stick. You saw how much he got that run, but it might have just been a bit too early of the ERS deployment and doesn't have that top-end speed to actually make it work on Vettel, which potentially hints at some higher downforce as well, considering how close he's able to run behind that of Vettel.
Yeah, well, that's going to be something we'll see play out later on as well with the tyre wear differences. Obviously, the lower wings are going to slide those tyres a lot more when you're carrying the high speed. So, going to be interesting to see if that is the case. He might be seeing some better tyre wear later on as well, which could aid him in making some more moves once those tyres really start to build a bit of an offset, gain a couple of tenths of pace relative to your rivals. On lap 7 of 36, coming towards the end of it now. And pit stops probably coming in the next 10 or so laps, I'd expect, for most of these drivers. Probably looking about 15 laps on these medium tyres as into the pits comes Vettel, going for an early stop. Might be slightly wrong there then. Vettel speeding as well.
Yeah, caught himself speeding into the pit lane. That's going to make a huge difference to how the rest of this race goes for him. But as we are still stuck in this DRS train at the moment, it will definitely be, as we see a bit of ghosting between the Ferrari and the Mercedes, as Sinan gets back past again, back into P number 8, but it was 2 drivers heading into the pit lane as Justin joins Vettel.
Yep, Vettel coming out comfortably ahead of Justin, albeit with a 10-second penalty, but Justin has been closing in a little bit. I think he was a couple positions further behind, so maybe a bit of an undercut coming into play. Doesn't seem to be too big of an effect though, but DRS opening up once again, going to help the drivers get closer once again in towards the braking zone. Ken Fisher now set free onto the back of Star. Let's see what he can do against the Alpine driver.
Yeah, Ken Fisher is looking so racy at the moment, and just only thing that seems to be holding him back is this DRS train of the cars in front also getting that little bit of assistance. But with this pace on display, you're starting to look at him to potentially make some kind of moves as another two set of drivers, Star and the upper half of Josh, coming into the pit lane. Both of them avoiding that 10-second penalty this time around. But Ken Fisher now on the back of Tom 97 and keeping pace as well. Potentially, he's going to be making a chance at trying to upset any of these top three drivers.
I'm surprised to be seeing so many pit stops so early on in this race. Maybe they just know the hard tyre can go for so long and they want to get as big of an undercut as they possibly can, try and jump their way forward in the train. I mean, if you look at Vettel relative to Star, he's gained almost 2 seconds on the Alpine on his outlap there. He has pulled himself a massive advantage. If it wasn't for that 10-second penalty, he would probably be in contention for the win at the moment. Unfortunately, that's not the case, though, with that speeding penalty. But, yeah, as it stands, it seems like the undercut is going to be a powerful tool for the drivers tonight.
Yeah, it might just be a move potentially spurred on by the pace that is being set at the moment. Been timing a few of them, and we are a little bit off the pace already. These tyres are wearing drastically quickly here on this race here at Zandvoort, but they really do need to be getting as far as lap 15 as you mentioned. But it's Ken Fisher now diving into the pit lanes potentially in reaction to those drivers setting those faster lap times further behind. But this might be dragging us towards a 2-stop race if this keeps on going.
Yeah, last time around, 13-4 from Lennart leading this train. And then let's look at Vettel, 11-6, almost 2 seconds a lap faster. They are really gaining big time, and Ken Fisher has come out behind Justin Ertz, and I think almost coming out behind Josh as well. So that really shows a driver who was running just behind our race leaders is now a long way off, almost 5 seconds off the back of Vettel right now.
Yeah, we're starting to get to the point where you are seeing a strategy switch over point. If you keep going now, you're actually going to lose so many track positions, as Sinan is finding a lot of potential on these hard tyres and is making another attempt at a move, this time behind the Red Bull for P number 4 on the road. And he is just constantly slicing through cars with that better grip at this point, as his tyres will still not have been faded. And might be some of the reason why these people switch to the hards, considering how much pace he has on display.
Yeah, he's about a second a lap faster than our race leaders on the previous few laps. Into the pits comes Pierre Karzik, 10-second penalty for speeding as well. But I think we're seeing a lot of tyre management from those at the front. Later on, going to try and use those tyres, push, build a margin, and then go for that overcut later on the hards. Give themselves a tyre advantage and hope that that's enough to make it work. But Sinan is looking extremely quick right now, and maybe we're going to see a swap of positions here from the two Ferrari drivers as well. Try and play for that Constructors' Championship. They're not too far behind. I think they're only about 20 points off the back of McLaren, who lead the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, might have to opt into the team strategy here. Tom's still stuck behind Nico Rosberg. No matter how close they get, they all just seem to swap and change the gap, but keep the same distance. But he does have a huge run. He's only 2 tenths behind as we round towards the stadium section, but it doesn't get any kind of run out on the traction. So it might be beneficial to let Sinan go, try and hold up Nico and Lennart, get them into a bit of a racing action, and maybe take a pit stop early, unless they are going for that one stop.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the gap, Lennart to Vettel is now only a 12-second gap. So things really starting to close in. Tom 97 turning the battery off, lets his teammate go in towards the first corner. Let's see what Sinan can do on these hard compound tyres. Now, can he fight his way past Rasenberg and Lennart, try and get himself into the lead of this race, and maybe even try and break away? If he can pull away from the DRS, that is going to be so crucial for his race. Of course, Lennart going to be saving some tyres as well, trying to save some pace for later on. But 13.9 last time around. We have drivers doing 1-minute 11s. There is such a big difference in pace. 2.5 seconds. Ken Fisher, Justin Ertz were both faster than our race leader. They're all going to be closing in at such a rapid race. And here to the inside, in towards turn number 9. That is not a place where you usually see a move. Sinan with the grip makes the move work. And Sinan is now up into second. Lennart's the only car left in front of him. Can he close in enough in this final sector to try and make that move on the run towards turn 1? He's going to have that DRS advantage. He's got a tyre advantage here as well. And let's see, Sinan could be on to try and make the first move for the lead of the race. since the start of this race. Here we go through the final corner now. The gap is only 0.3 of a second. This looks like the move is already done for Sinan. He's already turning that battery off, and he is through to take the lead of the race here on lap 13 of 36. We're 1/3 of the way through this race, and we have got a new race leader, and it's the driver who started all the way down in P11 on the alternative strategy, now through to the lead. Ken Fisher, fastest lap, 11.3.
Yeah, and you see Ken Fisher has caught the gap back up to Justin in that pack further behind, but he has still lost those positions. But it's Sinan Jr. making these hard ties, and you say, can he break that 1 second gap? But with the pace, he just overtook both of those drivers, all of them done within the span of just one lap. It is going to be very, very simple if he can just get a good exit and traction. But it's still, at the moment, Leonard keeping up, but they do need to make sure that these tyres get to that around lap level 16 to 18 to make a one-stop strategy work for themselves.
Yeah, there we go. Move as well. Star in the middle sector, getting through on Vettel. He's up to P6 now. Leader now of this trainer. He doesn't have that 10-second penalty, so that's going to be a crucial thing for his race as well. He's only, what, 10 seconds maybe off the back of Leonard, who's the leader on the medium tyres right now. He is in a very strong position. And we've got cast into the pits. Nico Rasenberg and Kevin West both pitting now, getting those medium tyres gone. 22 laps to the end on the hards. Doesn't seem too unrealistic, but look at all these cars flying past down in towards the first corner. There's going to be so much lost track position here for these drivers. And as it stands, I think they're coming out last of all of the runners, which is a very, very demoralizing sight. If you were the drivers leading this race just a few laps ago, to now be running last in this race, there is so much work left to do here.
Yeah, they're going to have to find some amazing pace, and 22 laps means they're not going to be able to just push every single lap. They're going to have to find some kind of middle ground to make this one-stop strategy work. But with the amount of extension that they have done, it does almost guarantee the solidification of that one-stop strategy. But you still got to see the drivers like Star, Vettel, Justin, Ken Fisher keep pounding out the lap times at this rapid pace that they have been setting. But clearly Star has got some more pace over Vettel, and same with the drivers behind. And potentially he is actually delaying the advantage that they could have had.
Leonard lost the DRS in the middle sector, managed to just barely claw it back, but having lost that advantage, he knew it was about to disappear. Comes into the pits, as does Tom 97, and all the drivers going to follow through. We could be seeing a change in positions here, could be seeing Rasenberg through ahead of his two championship rivals on the track. With a long, long fight ahead of them, this could be a big game changer for the championship. As we follow them out of the pit lane, there is Rasenberg and the two Mercedes making their way through the first few corners. Where does Deckers feed out? He's going to come out behind both of them, and that is so crucial. But looking to the inside through turn number 2, around the outside now as they make their way through the banking. Can Leonard make this one work? On the cold tyres, gets on the power, and he's thrown up into 10th.
What an amazing move to make that stick on the outside with the cold tyres. Just shows the confidence he has in the car underneath him. As we see Pau go wide as well, there's another position gained. Gifted to him like the first, but definitely still earned. Now having to chase down Nico Rasenberg and instead follow what the pace he can set.
Tom, really unfortunate, getting stuck behind all of this. He's lost the 1 second margin already to the two drivers he has been battling in this race. Going to have to push once he can make these moves work. Might actually be able to benefit off the DRS here. Slingshot himself onto the back of Deckers and get himself back into the fight. But it's a really unfortunate position to be stuck in. As it stands, Sinan leading the way. After the pit stops are made, it will be Star with the net lead of this race. Star, Vettel and Justin as it stands, the podium battle, which is definitely not something I thought we'd be saying coming into this race.
Yeah, that's still only if they can make these tyres last that entire way. And with the rate that they're pushing, especially Ken Fisher, who gets a huge run onto Justin, side by side, swinging through. It's going to be happening around the outside, one of the trickiest corners, but he's still trying to make it stick, but he loses ground as he heads towards the curb, tries to outbrake, switches back to that inside line, but isn't able to find the braking point to get back on the inside, but still finding more momentum as we round towards that DRS point.
Yep, and now looking at the pace, I think we're very much seeing roles reversed. All the cars behind going to be closing in. Rasenberg's got about 3.5 seconds to the next car, another 2.5 till he catches up to the back of this train. But at the rate they're going, I think there is definitely a possibility that they can get themselves at least into the fight. Whether they can make the moves, I think, is going to be a whole new question. But Ken Fisher looking to make moves here down towards turn 1. DRS open and flies his way nice and easily through. He's up into P4 now. That is a net podium position as it stands with the penalty that Vettel carries. 11.3 from Tom 97. It was a 12.6 from Star that time around. 1.3 seconds faster.
Yeah, Ken Fisher got stuck behind Vettel in that first stint, but now looking even more racy behind him, already passing a few drivers on this middle stint here. He's now charging down Vettel. He knows that it might be a free position in the end, but he needs to get past to try and make this alternate strategy to what the leaders were running work in his favor. He's only got 2 people left to be in front of this train, and he clearly has the pace to potentially be the one at the lead of this strategy.
Yeah, and still Sinan continuing on as well. He's going to be an interesting one to watch. It's not going to be too much longer. Maybe around lap 22, lap 23, these drivers might catch Sinan if he's still out there on the track. So, going to be an interesting one. I mean, for Sinan's case, I expect he probably is going to stay out for quite a while. Hope that a safety car might come. And give him a very, very strong position for the finish of this race. Could, in fact, bring him right up to the front of the field into turn 1. No moves happening down here at the back of the field. Tom 97 has actually caught back up to the back of his 2 championship rivals and sticking close. And for a second, I thought he was about to look to the inside there. I think just faking a move there on Leonard, trying to scare him into a bit of a mistake there, potentially.
Yeah, he brought in the tyres with a lot less aggression than Leonard and Nico did. Both of them instantly racing out of the pit lane, whereas Tom 97 just sat there with a little bit of lesser pace, but now warming those tyres up nicely rather than aggressively, potentially giving him a little bit of an advantage in this early stage on the tyres.
Yeah, the gap actually between the 2 trains not coming down too much. It's come down by about half a second, I'd say, but I think that's mainly as a result of Pierre Karzik in front also catching up. I think it's really just going to come down to when that train starts to fall away, because as it stands, they're not making massive inroads, which unfortunately for them means they're not going to have too many laps to make their moves.
Yeah, they still need to keep this pace up, but it is starting to dwindle. But Ken Fisher, again, with a decent run onto Vettel, but just didn't have the gap before coming through onto that DRS straight. This time around, still stood behind Vettel yet again in the second stint for him now. But Sinan Jr., now the gap below 5 seconds, as we see yet another dive from Tom 97, who's getting a little bit antsy behind Leonard this time around.
Yeah, he'll know that he can be brave on the brakes. He'll know where he can brake and make the corner safely. And all of this is just going to be mind games, trying to scare Leonard into thinking maybe there could be a bit of contact, or maybe he's going to try and go for that move and then just jumping out of the way, I guess, or making a mistake on the brakes, locking up, going a little bit wide, and effectively open the door for Tom to make his way through. Might not necessarily be an actual overtaking opportunity, but could lead that way. Looking at the gap now as well, Pierre Karzik has actually caught up to the train. I think, no, Josh has dropped off. That's why that gap has shifted. But the gap definitely coming down. These guys caught about 2 seconds to Sinan after the leading train, only catching about 1 on that previous lap. So yeah, I think there is about a second a lap advantage, which is going to play out over these next few laps. And very soon we could be seeing all of our different groups of cars converging together at quite a similar moment.
Yeah, you do say, as Vettel now getting stuck behind Star, very, very aggressive into that turn 1. All 3 of them taking different lines. Ken Fisher is even sticking his nose in a little bit and trying to get a run with that tight exit. He is going to get a decent exit, but does he have the ERS to even make it work? He does have some, but it seems like Vettel has enough in reserves of his own to deny any aggression towards this swing of a corner. And still, Ken Fisher potentially getting a little bit frustrated now. Stuck behind Vettel for 2 different stints of his race. While this train is still catching up to Sinan Jr. and that pace is getting a little bit quicker. But Sinan Jr. just needs to make it roughly to lap 22 to be able to do a one-stop strategy onto those medium tyres.
Yeah, and this could be another chance at an overtake. Looking to the outside into the stadium section, we've got yellow flags as well. I think that's Tom 97. Championship contender has had an off down at turn number 10. That is devastating news for him, dropping himself quite a way off the back of his rivals. Can he try and recover something here tonight? It's going to be a tough battle if he wants to do so. And that is really unfortunate stuff. More yellow flags. That's Sinan who's dropped it on the start-finish straight. Into the pits. He's got a puncture. Does the Ferrari driver at the same time. On the same lap, both Ferrari drivers facing horrible news that they are sent tumbling down the order. And those hard tyres really struggling. 21 laps he managed before he picked up a rear puncture there. And that is going to be worrying news for the drivers who pitted early in this race.
Yeah, and Sinan retiring from this race as his front wing didn't get changed at the pit stop automatically either as well. And it's heartbreak at Zandvoort for both Ferraris simultaneously, just like it was in the real Zandvoort race in 2025 as well. Hopefully this isn't any signs for Ferrari in real life for 2026, but it is still absolutely devastating. But if that puncture from Sinan Jr. is any kind of signs for the tire life of the hard tires rather than a collision with the wall, that is horrible signs, as pitting on lap 13 and 14 that the leaders of Leonard and Nico, who now face 25 laps until the end, and Sinan didn't even make 22.
Yeah, to put it into perspective as well, here comes Vettel into the pits. I think we're going to be seeing a two-stop from quite a few of these drivers. Pierre Karzik pitted on lap 10, if I'm looking at this correctly. No, sorry, it's Vettel who's pitting early. This is the driver I'm looking at. Pitted on lap 7. He would be doing 29 laps on the hards if he went to the end. 8 laps more than Sinan did and picked up that puncture. A 10-second penalty for power as well for speeding, and he retires from the race, unfortunately. Vettel does get back going, but I have to say, it does seem like the one-stop would be possible. 21 laps on the hards. We've already seen the likes of Tom 97 do 14 laps on the mediums. You probably could squeeze an extra one out of that one as well. I feel like it would have been possible to make the one-stop work, and they, as it stands, it seems like it's going to be a massive advantage in time. Vettel is 21 seconds now off of Tom 97, who had a spin.
Yeah, this two-stop is going to be hard, especially with how hard we've seen it being to make any kind of overtakes here. However, it is now clear these hard tyres are not going to last that long into this race. So unless Nico Leonard can find some amazing consistency and find very little tyre wear for the rest of this race, they are going to be on a very much nice edge at the end of this race in terms of tyre wear, which means these drivers on two stops will have huge pace advantage, even if they still go for the one stop.
Well, yeah, we've got a couple more in start. Justin and Pierre Karzik all coming into the pit, so there's now only one driver left out there, and that is Ken Fisher, 3 seconds up the road. And then it's back to the one-stoppers. Just the 4 drivers, Rasenberg, Leonard, Kevin West, and Tom 97 left out there, all opted for that one-stop strategy. The one with the oldest tyres is Kevin West. He's done 9 laps so far. That doesn't even seem like it's going to be too terrible. It's going to be 23 sorry, that he would be doing. I think you could save a lap or 2 worth of tyre wear over an entire stint if you were really worried about a puncture. And 21 laps does seem a little bit early to be picking up a puncture as well. So I feel like these guys should be quite all right. As Leonard Decker's losing a lot of time here. Kevin West around the outside through the stadium section. That's not a place you usually see an overtake. What has happened there? Kevin West through, and Leonard Decker's championship leader has disconnected from the session. That is devastating news. 8 points ahead of Tom 97, 18 ahead of Rasenberg, who now takes the lead of this race. This could be another big swing in the Drivers' Championship. Rasenberg and Tom 97 could capitalize here. How much time is Leonard going to lose before he's able to get back into this session?
Yeah, Tom 97 now clawing down that gap already, and it might be enough a position lose. The only benefit is obviously there's only 4 drivers on this strategy, but you still don't want to be losing any time as he does finally load back into the session. But it's still going to be enough, a couple of moments before he retakes that car over the AI control, and as he still has to load on in. 5 attempts before he ends up losing the position to Tom 97, who does sail on by. And once he gets back into control, he's going to feel heartbreak and devastation to see that he has just lost 2 positions back to back as he finally retakes control.
As it stands, 13-point swing between Deckers and Rassenberg. It would be 5 points between Leonard and Nico in the championship, and Tom 97 would gain 3 as well, so that's also going to be 5. Tom 97 and Nico Rassenberg will be level on points with 2 races left to go. Leonard Deckers only leading by 5. This is going to really close things up in the championship. Tom 97 and Leonard, 3.5 seconds they need to gain to get themselves back in the fight for the victory here tonight.
Yeah, you got these front 4 in 2 different battles now. Leonard now on to face Tom 97 on the track just to get back into P number 3, which is going to really mean that he's going to have to push his tyres to try and get back into the top 2. So we might only have to focus on this P3, as we have seen a bit of a tyre wear issue here today for some drivers already, as we do see Josh and Vettel trying to fight it out for P number 8, as Josh did previously just take that position, while we have another set of 3 cars from 5th down to 7th.
Yeah, this is looking really interesting. Those cars, 5th, 6th, 7th, they have got some very quick pace right now. Low 1 minute 11s. The guys up at the front currently doing mid 1 minute 12s. It's going to be an interesting one. There is still time for them to close in and make this 2-stop strategy work here. But it's really going to come down to how well these guys can manage their tyres, how much they can save for those final few laps overtaking. We know it's going to be tricky, and here comes Leonard Deckers trying to take that position back, and we've got yellow flags, and that's Vettel who's gone round. As we see the overtakes made, wing damage on both end plates for Vettel there, has had an off coming through turn 10, we've seen from quite a few drivers here tonight. Unfortunate stuff there for the Aston Martin driver, who will limp his way back to the pits, but if he does finish this race, it is still a point to his name.
Yeah, solace in the issue is that he will get a point just for finishing this race on out, but losing a couple of positions due to that spin to the Red Bull, sadly due to his potentially own mistake. But Kevin West still on the back of Nico Rassenberg for first, as we did see Leonard making that position as well, but Vettel does end up leaving the session and retiring with a DNF of his own.
Yeah, unfortunate stuff. Now 2 points for anybody who does finish this race, no matter what happens to you. As long as you make that checker flag, you will get a couple of points to your name. Ken Fisher got very close for a move there for P6. This train rapidly closing in the gap, now under 8 seconds with 10 laps to go in this race. Still a chance for these guys to potentially get in the fight for the top 4 positions. And the gap as well, Leonard to our leaders has also come down by about a second on the last lap. He is flying along very nicely in the 1 minute 11s.
Yes. As we do see Ken Fisher with some amazing pace. If I'm correct, this is his first race all season long, as the Haas gets a nice run onto that of Star, but not a thing in the braking zone to be found again. But as I said, Ken Fisher, first time out here in Tier 4 WOR, and he has got some solid pace on his hands, but it's been stopped behind cars with DRS the entire race.
Yeah, well, let's see how this all plays out then. Leonard very soon, I think, going to be getting himself into the DRS, might even be on this very lap 27 of 36, with 10 laps of racing left to go here tonight. The time's starting to run out, but he needs to make sure he's right there, ready to fight. He's tracking Tom 97 along with him as well, who's also going to be very eager to try and stick here, make some moves, and maybe capitalize if there's any contact in front.
Yeah, this pace is very solid from Leonard Deckers at the moment, already down to 1.2, and it's only going to be potentially half a lap before he's back within that DRS of Kevin West in front of him. So even with those issues, he's trying to right it wrong very early on. But again, going very slowly. Tom 97 just gained a huge amount of time in that straight line, as D rating coming out from Leonard, potentially using all of that ERS to push as hard as he can.
Yeah, he knows he's got to make sure he stays within that DRS. It might even be the very next lap. 1.2, 1.1, that gap is coming down. The battery that Leonard's been saving, he's using it through this middle sector to make sure he gets himself back within that 1 second margin. Doesn't want to leave himself too vulnerable to Tom 97. Is here around the outside. Ken Fisher looking to make the move through the flat-out right-hander. Still sticks there right alongside and pulls himself ahead of Justin Ertz. He's up into 6th place now and looking to get himself to the front of this train, who once again look to be gaining some decent time on the cars in front. Might still have a shot here at the podium fight.
Yeah, what a stunning move coming out from Ken Fisher. Sticking it around the outside. Not only with Star in front, who won't have any kind of DRS to defend. If you can make this move stick very quickly, which is already very tight onto the back of Star already, 3/10 is going to be the margin. And we've seen overtakes with this kind of gap as we round the final corner. Opens up that DRS, swings into the slipstream, but he loses control, ends up in the grass, and will lose that position he just got onto Justin in only a few moments' time due to a minor error and getting onto the grass.
That is something you don't usually see. I expect that's partially a case of DRS open, overtake mode on, and a very big wing gap, just running out of rear grip on the tyres, ends up in the grass, and as you say, losing that position that he just fought so hard for to get himself up into P6. Now got to do it all over again. All the while, Star continuing on, he's able to save his tyres a little bit while they push to catch up to the train, and now 6/10 covering our top 3 drivers. That gap has come down dramatically. Leonard Decker's going to be thinking about a move very soon. Kevin West looking to get his first victory of the season, sitting very pretty behind Nico Rasenberg at the moment.
Yeah, he hasn't really shown any kind of progression forward. He's just been sat there behind Nico Rasenberg, potentially just trying to make sure he's keeping those tyres so that he can make it to the end. He was the first to pit out of all of these drivers, so has the hardest task on his hand in terms of tyre wear management. As we look back, it's 6.5 seconds now to the second pack, as we do see Tom 97 coming into the pit lane with only 7 laps remaining.
That is a very interesting decision. I guess that is maybe partially as a result of the spin, giving himself a lot of tyre wear, having to bail out of the strategy here is Justin Ertz under pressure from Ken Fisher, getting very close to the back of Star as well. Down we go towards turn 6 again, and once again the Williams getting extremely close to the back of the Haas, but he can't get that move done like he did just a few laps ago, but it now becomes a 3-way fight at the front. Leonard Decker's getting close to the back of Kevin West, and effectively Tom 97 just hoping he can fight his way back through and pick up a decent number of points to try and keep himself in championship contention. As it stands, he would lose 11 points to Leonard, which is not going to be too great for him. And yeah, not the gap that he'd be looking for. Would drop him down to 3rd in the championship as well. So he's going to have to make some moves if he wants to try and recover some hopes in this championship fight. Leonard Decker's once again getting a bit closer to the back of the Mercedes, but I don't think he'll be close enough for any overtakes this time around.
Oh, but that triple stack of Star, Justin and Ken Fisher getting extremely ouncy as all 3 of them have an amazing run down to the inside. Justin moves really early. It's going to end up squeezing Star all the way around to the outside, which is going to invite Ken Fisher to come alongside as well. He's going to have the inside line, but he doesn't have the traction, so it's going to be a long sweep, which might be able to give him the better acceleration as we come back out again. He has some ERS to deploy. He's going to be alongside sufficiently to try and barge his way through, and he's already got that front wing ahead, but he does again have to make it work around the outside, and Star's got better grip than we saw from the Haas previously, but still making side-by-side contact even, and as it's again still swinging round to the right on the outside, not able to make anything work, nor the switchback as well, so slips back behind, but they do slip adrift of Justin as he turn around now. DRS going to be opening for Ken Fisher for sure, but not sure if Star has got it. But as he ekes away, we gotta potentially believe that he did.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely doesn't have it this time. 1.2 as they cross that detection line just there. This is going to be a nice easy move for Ken Fisher down in towards turn 1. Get himself through up at the front as well. Things getting very close. Here comes Kevin West around the outside. Leonard Decker's also looking to put some pressure on. Ken Fisher's through up into 5th. Here comes Leonard looking to the inside in towards turn number 2. Not close enough that time around, but our top pack with just 4 laps left of this race, plus the rest of this one, they are really starting to get close and starting to battle away. Leonard tucked right up in that slip. She might be looking for a similar move here as we make our way into the sweeping right-handers.
Yeah, Ken Fisher finally ahead of Star, but still behind Justin Ayert, who moves his way back into 4th position, and Star losing 2 positions in the span of a lap and a half, unsuccessfully able to defend his position as the tyre wear is starting to get higher for those in the front 3, but the racing is still going to be picking up as it's again Leonard only 3/10 behind, and the gaps keeping into this tight window that gives them a chance at any point to try and make a strike.
Yeah, we've seen it's about 0.4 of a second. You've got a shot to go for the move. Under 0.3, you are definitely going to be able to get that done into turn one. As it stands, though, Kevin West almost half a second behind, so probably not going to get a chance this time around unless he has plenty of battery saved up, and he's going to look to the outside briefly, but definitely not close enough. 2 turns behind by the time they hit the brakes in towards the first corner, and no moves coming just yet. We're on lap 33 of 36. 4 laps of racing left to come as Tom 97 fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 10.7. I believe that gets him an extra point, which will be a little bit more for him to take home, but not going to be repairing the damage done by having to make that extra pit stop, which as it stands sets him a long way back, and another disconnection for Leonard Deckers. That is not what he wants to see with a couple laps left and with a pack of cars chasing him down. Justin Ertz only 3 seconds behind Ken Fisher, Star not too far off as well, and Tom 97 is flying along about 3 seconds a lap faster than our leading drivers. He could very quickly make that time up. He's about 5 seconds off the pace, I think, Leonard, when he last disconnected. I think he was doing 1 minute 15s. So maybe still, if he's disconnected, never mind, he has joined back very, very quickly, but under pressure now from Justin Ertz behind, and these drivers with the fresher tyres, this could change things in the championship, because here comes Justin Ertz, DRS open, he is going to make his way into the podium positions now, and Leonard into the pit lane. That is devastation here. Was that his AI? It was his AI making the decision to pit with just 2 laps left in this race. That is horrible, horrible news for our championship leader, who is going to drop down to 7th, and he's not going to have the time to make the positions back, make that, in fact, 8th. This is a massive, massive moment for Nico Rasenberg and Tom 97, and it's going to almost level things out in the Drivers' Championship here tonight. This is incredible, incredible stuff. Leonard Deckers disconnecting again, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. The battle for the win, Rasenberg versus West. Justin Ertz is only 1.5 seconds off now as Pierre Karzik takes the fastest lap away from the Ferrari team. That is a crucial point in the constructors' battle between Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren. Tom 97 getting past Star now. Those hard compound tyres, those fresh hards starting to work for him, but we've got 2 more laps to come here, and things are definitely not over at the front, because Justin Ertz and Ken Fisher now getting themselves into striking distance. Kevin West might have to make this move now if he wants a chance to run away and take victory here tonight. He's going to look to the outside through the first corner as Ken Fisher gets up P3 behind as well with the inside line. Kevin West now takes the lead on the penultimate lap of this race, but the pressure is really starting to mount. 2 more tours of this Zandvoort circuit. Can Ken Fisher, can Justin Ertz try and strike back in these final few laps of the race?
Huge swings for the championship and the race results. Huge gain in terms of lap time. Into the DRS already now is Ken Fisher, just behind Nico Reisenberg and Kevin West, who've been leading for so long, but the tyre wears are now switching over. 2 laps left for Kevin Fisher to try and make a win in his debut into Tier 4 as we round into the DRS zones for one of the few and final times and dive into the spectacle that is the stadium section. Kevin West currently your leader for the first time in front of Nico Rasenberg, but Ken Fisher is so close already onto the back of Nico Rasenberg. He's going to have to make 2 overtakes in the span of 2 in 1 lap. Opens up the DRS. He has less than 3/10 of the margin. Already moving over to the right hand side, trying to make the corner as tight as possible. Nico Rasenberg back around the outside to try and make it work. Gets in front of Kevin West and might be the decisive move that keeps him in this championship fight. A huge point swing in first position, but he desperately wants after the issues Leonard Deckers has ran into. But Ken Fisher having a huge run now onto Kevin West. He's made moves here around the outside before, but he's running out of VRS compared to Kevin West and isn't able to keep back onto the back of him. It's still in the podium positions at the moment, but can he make it stick onto Kevin West for P number 2?
Trying to make this move, Kevin West looking for his best finish of the season. As it stands, it's a 15-point swing from Rasenberg and Tom 97. It would be an even bigger swing between Rasenberg and Deckers. Here comes Ken Fisher to the outside in towards the stadium section. A bit of contact, I think, as here comes Justin Ertz looking to try and snatch back this podium on the final lap of the race. Round the outside through the stadium section, sliding from Ken Fisher, and that might be what cost him the podium here tonight. Rasenberg up in the front is going to take a massive chunk out of the championship battle, and that is going to be a monumental swing for Rasenberg. The German driver takes victory here. Kevin West takes second place, only a tenth and a half of Justin Ertz with his first podium of the season. Ken Fisher comes home in P4. Tom 97 recovering to P5 after that spin and the extra pit stop. He was only 2 seconds off the fight as well. Star coming home in P6, had a big drop off in those final few laps of the race. Josh comes home in P7, I think also his best finish of the season, and he was our championship leader. I'm not sure if he is now. It's going to be very close. I think he is 2 points ahead of Tom 97 in the championship and 5 points ahead of Rasenberg. The championship massively closing up as Leonard comes home only P8, multiple disconnects, a pit stop by his AI while he wasn't in control of the car, and that has massively cost our championship leader here tonight. Pia Karzik coming home in P9, double points for the Red Bull team, but it is only 6 points for the Red Bull team. McLaren going to extend their championship lead in the Constructors' Championship. That is going to be a big swing over there, but most importantly, 5 points separating our top 3 in the Drivers' Championship. Things are getting very close with just 2 races left to go this season.
It's an amazing result from Nico Rasenberg, but he had to make that decisive move. If he didn't make the move forward, he would have had to defend from Ken Fisher instead. It was a risky dive. You saw them move all the way over to the right, but he outbraked. He made the move stick, and he made the defining move, which any driver needs to have to try and win a championship battle. And as you said, drastically closes up those standings with only 2 races left, and Spa being next.
Well, here are your race results then. Once again, Nico Rasenberg, an amazing drive from him, coming home with the win. Kevin West coming home in P2, so close to getting that win on the run to the line. Justin Ertz takes P3, Ken Fisher in 4th, Tom 97 in 5th, Star, Josh, Leonard Deckers, Pia Karzik, your final points finisher, and Vettel, Pau, Sinan and Myth, your DNFs here tonight. But wow, that was a very exciting end to that race. The 2-stop. For one moment, looked like it was the perfect strategy. Then it looked like it was going to go absolutely nowhere. And then all of a sudden, the drivers were coming back and it looked amazing again. That was an incredible race from all of the drivers. I will have a look and see if we can have a chat with any of them.
Yeah, as you said, a couple of storylines that ended up fading across that race was Sinan, who had those hard starts and had an amazing pace, but then ends up getting a puncture directly in front of the pit lane, as he was potentially going to be pitting on that lap anyway onto the mediums on his own individual strategy that also could have played into the storyline at the end. While you also had a few drivers like Ken Fisher, who got stuck behind a lot of drivers and wasn't able to make moves work, even with his glorious overtakes around the outside of some of the most difficult corners to make overtakes work on the entire calendar.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see the unorthodox places where we were really seeing overtakes. I mean, through the flat-out double right-hander in the middle sector, around the outside through the stadium. Normally around this track, you only really see overtakes into turn 1, but we saw overtakes at almost every single corner today, and that is something I think that is very impressive around a track like Zandvoort.
Yeah, and it comes from the beauty of something you don't usually see. Multiple diverging strategies that end up having similar pace across the entire race, but giving people different amounts of traction at different points, and it produced an absolute stunner at one of the tracks where you don't typically see it.
Yeah, well, let's have a chat with our race winner then. Hello. Oh, it didn't drag him. There we go. Hello, Nico.
Hello.
So, another victory for you and a big swing in the Drivers' Championship. 5 points off of the championship lead now, I believe. and things very, very close. I think it is in fact 5 points that cover the top 3. Firstly, quite a stressful final few laps of that race, I think, from your side.
I mean, it was a full race stressful because I did from lap 1 tire saving. I don't like this track because of this. It's not how your pace is, it's just how to save tires. So it's just blowing and you need just to concentrate on the tires. So yeah, it was a very stressful race. I did with my engineer a good strat, to be honest. I wanted it undercut to get Leonard. Then he got insane. It was so unlucky. He forgot like 3 disconnects, I think. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was kinda a win, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, overall, there was quite a few strategies. 1 stop, 2 stop. Were you absolutely fixed on the 1 stop there? Because I think maybe 1 or 2 more laps, and you might have been under a lot of pressure from quite a few of those drivers coming on the 2 stop.
I mean, from Ken, he was on 2 stop. 2 stop was way faster. So yeah, I was on 84, I think, on the last lap. So I can't really do another lap on these tires. So I think the 2 stop is much faster when you really push on it. So yeah.
Yep, any questions from you, Weltorium?
Obviously, in that middle stage of the race, you was just tucked in. Did you at any kind of point believe that you could make a move for first, especially on those early laps, or was you just happy with trying to keep a tire saving strategy across the whole race?
I was really just concentrating on my tires, but I also wanted to be P1 after the pit stop. That was perfect for me. In P1 you have much more control about the race, so it was, I don't know, it was not an idea for me, but yeah, I managed it, so I'm very happy.
Yep, and 2 races left to go. 5 points covering the top 3. How are you feeling heading into these final 2 races?
I mean, before the race, I was not expecting to fight again for the championship because I was thinking Leonard have it. But now I'm really concentrating on the last 2 races. I'm now motivated to have the title. Yeah, that's my only goal for the next races.
Alright, any final questions from you, Weltorium?
I'm not the best at making up questions.
Alright, well, congratulations on the victory here tonight, Nico. Really great drive from yourself making that 1-stop strategy work, and we will let you head off and celebrate.
Thank you guys, bye bye.
No problem. And we will have a very quick chat with our P3 finisher as well. One of the drivers to pull off the 2-stop. Justin, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are yourselves?
Not too bad. So, 2-stop strategy from yourself. You were the leading driver in the end on that strategy. Do you think that was the right decision, or do you think maybe the 1-stop would have been better?
I think 2-stop was definitely the best. I think had I not been stuck behind whoever it was in the second stint for like 5 or 6 laps, then maybe it could have been more. But I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really expecting to climb up the field that much. But then I saw it was like, what, a 1.5 seconds a lap, so I figured we'd push. And yes, somehow got the P3 with a rear lock overtake. Definitely was intentional.
I believe it's your first podium of the season as well, so it must be a nice feeling to finally pick that one up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've only raced like, what, 3 or 4 times. My last race was since Australia. So, yeah, it's a very big surprise, but I'm very happy.
Yep, and decent points for the Haas team as well. Your teammates ended up P7. Looked like you both could have been on for quite a strong result. How were you feeling as you went for those second pit stops? Because it did look like it was going to be quite a big gap to make up, about 22 seconds, I think it was.
Yeah, like you said, I think I started 9th or something with no practice really, and then I figured, oh, maybe you get a top 5, and then I saw after the second pit stop that it was coming to my hands maybe for a win, so kind of just every lap was a different mindset until the last final laps where I just kind of gave it my all really.
Yep, any questions for you, Volatorium?
obviously at points in this race, you got heavily pressured by Ken Fisher, and you did end up beating him in the end. Was there any point where you really thought that Ken Fisher could have driven away from you at any point?
To be honest, every time he was behind me, I knew that if he went for a move, I wasn't going to fight it because he was just that much faster. But I figured towards the end, I saw a gap, went for it, like I said, definitely intentionally. And then, yeah, I just thought about working with him to get past Star, was it, I think, in the Alpine. But in the end, it was too little too late.
Yep, well, big congratulations. First podium of the season and coming away with a nice haul of points for yourself as well. 2 more races left here as well. How many results do you think you can get? Do you think you can fight for some more podiums maybe?
If I show up to them, yeah, sure, why not?
Alright, well, best of luck to yourself here. 2 more races, Spa and Brazil left to go in this season.
Thank you guys. Happy New Year.
No problem. Alright, well, that is going to wrap it up for the interviews then, and a very, very exciting race, I have to say. Rasenberg, Kevin, Justin, your top 3, and I don't think you really could have predicted that result from the start or even at any point during that race. It was only in those final few laps where everything really fell together to bring that result together.
Yeah, we didn't have a clue, and at different points, every single strategy looked like there was going to be the fastest strategy, including the one driver in Sinan on his strategy. It looked like he was the fastest at one point as well. So definitely, one of the best strategy races I think I've ever witnessed as a commentator myself, and definitely a brilliant end, especially for the championship gains that Nico Rasenberg seen.
Yeah, 5 points covering our top 3. Tom 97 only 2 points off the back of the championship lead with 2 races to go. As I said, in Spa next time out and Brazil, our season finale. It's going to be a very close championship finish here this season, season 22, really coming to a close. And it is definitely going to be an exciting finale, I think, once we do get to Brazil. But yeah, we are going to be heading over to the Tier 2 stream where we might be seeing the championship decided, even with 2 extra races after this one to come. It's been a very, very dominant season over there for, I believe, who was it? It was Diego Zorzo, who currently leads by quite a few points. So we'll go see how he's getting on. Maybe he can wrap his championship up here tonight. But yeah, 2 races left to go here in Tier 4. So let's see how things go there as well. Thank you for joining us here tonight. I have been Josh Richards. Alongside me here tonight has been Wellatorium. And we will see you all next week. Take care, everyone, and bye for now.